Have you guys ever been interested in the lunar cycles and how they affect your life? I know I have. Today we're going to bring Brian into this episode, and he's going to show us how to look at the lunar cycles in terms of Vedic astrology, Jyotish. All right, so join us. Thanks. Hi guys, how's it going? Welcome back to the channel. I got a friend here today. We got Brian. He is an amazing person. He's like diving into the world of Vedic astrology, Jyotish, for those of you who've never heard of it. Jyotish is the science of light. Is that what they call it?
I believe that's what it's called. Yeah, Jyotish has to do with light.
Yeah. So it's a really fascinating thing, and part of this channel is we talk about like the table of totality and like trying to pull ourselves in different directions, in positive ways. And one of the things I want to look at today is with Brian is pulling on this table of totality, pulling on like, would you say like this would be pulling on our spiritual leg maybe? Yeah. So we're gonna pull on the spiritual leg, and Jyotish kind of can like peer into your life, and you can kind of like get some insights, maybe deeper insights into why things are happening the way they're happening, and maybe there's some kind of stronger influence out there that we're like, like what's going on right now? And it's like, it's just in the stars, maybe it's just how it's going. So
a broader trend in nature that I am a manifest part of. Yeah.
What he said. That's why I have Brian here, because just real quick, over the summer, Brian and I like had these amazing conversations, and a lot of times like we'd both be kind of coming to each other with like our own personal life thing, and then in the middle of it, Brian would be like, hey, this thing's going on in the stars with Jyotish, and I'd be like, oh my god, like sometimes we didn't even get to share our personal stuff, and his like description of the star thing would be like, oh my god, you just blew me away, because you just said what I wanted to say just in like a very general term, like a Jyotistic way of saying things. And then if I told him my personal story, it was like basically the same thing he just said, but I put a little personal touch to it. So
it was cool.
It was really cool. And I was like, we got to get this on camera, and maybe other people can have the same experience. So that's why we want to do this with you guys, to bring you into the conversation, and maybe you can like have some aha moments as well. And if you do, leave them down below as a comment.
Yeah.
Let us know.
Yeah, we hope that you can experience something equal to or even more intense or awesome from what we experienced, this synchronicity of our life circumstances and the patterns that were going on in the stars. It was really cool. And we came up with this term, Jyotistically speaking.
Yeah.
I don't know if we came up with it, but
yeah.
What's going on Jyotistically speaking? It's like a weird, fun term for trying to get all this stuff kind of handled in our brains.
Yeah, so you might hear us say that every once in a while. So that just kind of refers to us meaning to like talk in the Jyotish kind of terms and words and Jyotish speak, so to say. So Brian is going to talk to us. We're kind of like in the middle, in between the full moon and the new moon. The new moon just happened.
Yes, so we are a week out from the new moon that just happened, and we're also a week past the week past the new moon, and a week before the full moon.
Okay.
So we're in the moon phase called the quarter moon.
Okay.
Our first quarter. And that's exactly today. We're recording this on Tuesday, the 12th of February. Mm-hmm. And so our next full moon is coming a week from today, Tuesday. I think it's the 19th.
The 19th. Yeah. Okay, cool. So we're going to kind of, with this video, what we're going to try to do, we're going to do a series of these, and Brian's going to help us to like kind of look back into the last couple weeks or the last week or so into some of this the new moon energy. And maybe we can like reflect on our, past and be like, oh yeah, we can see how that energy might have been, like present in our lives. And then we're going to look forward into the next week into like what the full moon energy might have on our lives. And then hopefully on the next video when we do, we can kind of do another look back, and we'll be looking into that full moon again. And maybe some of the insights that Brian's sharing today, well then, in the next video when you look at it, you'll be like, oh yeah, I remember him talking about that. And hopefully there's some aha moments is what we're hoping for. So we're going to do a little bit of looking back and then going forward, and kind of keep doing this with the videos, like going back and then looking forward.
It's a nice thing, I think, to work with the first quarter and the last quarter moon is when we were thinking about making these videos. So you're a week in between either the full or the new moon. And so you can look at, okay, where have we come from? What was, in this case, today, what was the theme of the new moon? And what is the theme of the full moon? It gives you an arc of kind of development or evolution of these themes. And then after the full moon, you're moving again toward another new moon, which is going to have a different theme from the last new moon. So this is called a lunation cycle. And it's a really wonderful way to kind of familiarize yourself with the zodiac signs, with the symbology, the meaning of each of them. There's a really amazing story of the human soul that is told in that mandala, or that circle of the zodiac. Each of those 12 signs that probably you're familiar with tells us a story about the human soul, and in each one of those places, the human soul evolves in a certain way. And then in the Vedic tradition, or the ancient Indian tradition that Jyotish comes from, we also have this other division of that same circle into 27 rather than 12. And so this is what's called the nakshatras. Nakshatras.
I have a really hard time with that word, and maybe later we'll go into like a little practice session with me saying it. But yeah, so these are like the houses of the moon, or the phases of the moon.
Right, these are called lunar mansions.
Lunar mansions.
So just like there are 12 signs of the zodiac that the sun travels through, and all the heavenly bodies move through the zodiac. The lunar.
Ooh, I like that. The mooner.
The lunar cycles. The lunar cycles, move through the same space. But in the Vedic tradition, we look at the moon in these things called nakshatras, which is a bit more granular. There are 27 divisions rather than 12. And then if you go in further, there are 4 divisions within each of those 27. And, you can go in further and further and further, and there's more and more symbology, more and more meaning there that you can unpack and then reflect on your own life based on that.
Wow. Seems like it gets kind of nitty gritty.
It gets a little
really
nitty
down
gritty.
in there. Yeah. That's kind of cool. I like that.
Yeah, I like that too.
Yeah.
I'm kind of a detail guy.
Yeah.
And so the nitty gritty is really interesting to me. And all of us kind of are born with placements in all these different places. You have your Mars over here in Capricorn, and you have your Venus in whatever, and so those influences, according to astrology, are sort of built into the way that you are in the world, and also built into what comes into your life, what your karma, like that. But it's really important to understand also that all of us have all of them in us, that what we are is that mandala. We are the wholeness of all this meaning, of all these symbols. All of them live within us and are lived through us in life. So even if you're not a Virgo like me, Stephen has Virgo energy too. Even if you don't have any Virgo in your astrology chart, there's so much you can learn through Virgo, because all of us have it in us, and it's in the world. It's a part of the constitution of the world. The makeup of the world has things in it that are Virgo, that are Piscean, that are like Jupiter, like different planets, like different houses. And so that's the way I like to look at astrology. It's like, even if you can't get on board with, okay, this thing means that this thing's going to happen, or means that you're going to be like this, any of us can derive meaning and an interesting process from looking at these themes, looking at these symbols, and then reflecting them on ourselves. So this is an image that I'll provide to you as sort of your ally on the path of astrology. I'm not an expert in astrology, I'm still a student. But I love it, and I love studying it along with these lunation cycles, using the full moon and the new moon to give me an excuse to study this thing for this time period. And what I'll share with you is, you can think of each of these things, each of the zodiac signs, each of the planets, as like a mirror. It's just a different shaped mirror. So like a funhouse mirror makes you look a certain way. So Jupiter is a mirror that makes you look at yourself in a certain way. And it can, by contemplating Jupiter, you can come to understand yourself in that essence of Jupiter that we all have.
So certain planets they reflect certain aspects of us back to us.
Right.
Yes. Okay, cool. Nice.
Yeah. So you can think of astrology as a complex set of mirrors that can help you look at yourself and look at the world and come to maybe a more nuanced understanding of some of these aspects of life.
and they reflect different aspects of us. Like maybe one reflects like a spiritual aspect, one reflects an emotional
maybe
aspect.
more emotional, maybe more tangible.
Yeah.
And that gets into some of that nitty gritty you were talking about, where we get into, okay, so let's take Capricorn for an example, because Capricorn is where we just had our new moon.
Okay.
So Capricorn is an earth sign, so that gives it a certain quality. Earthiness often can have to do with embodied things. So the body or more concrete things in life can be with this earth quality, this earth element. Whereas maybe Aquarius, which is more of an air element, it is an air element, air sign. Air is less embodied. It has more to do with the communication of things, the relation of things. Air element has a lot to do with relating with people, relating with other people. So like the air kind of pervades the entire earth. The sky wraps around everything, and it carries things on the breeze, So an air element is going to give you a different kind of set of manifest things than an earth element. So Capricorn, we'll come back to that, earthy. It's also feminine. It's ruled by Saturn. So as you get to kind of contemplate, okay, let me add these things together. Let me kind of like cooking. We have these different ingredients, and all of them come out to be the flavor of Capricorn.
Okay.
It's a little bit of Saturn. It's a little bit of feminine. It's a little bit of earth. And that's actually why I create these posters, which I'll plug very briefly.
They're amazing. They're so cool.
Thank you, Stephen.
Yes.
Yeah. I was inspired, well, this is kind of a dream going on about 4 years now. But about a year and a half ago, I was like, I'm going to make this happen. So I started an Etsy store, and I built a website for it. And
we're going to put links and everything in the description down below, so look for that.
So we call it Techno Yogi Spirit Craft. So TKNO, and I'll explain that later. TKNOYOGI, Techno Yogi. Cool. Like technology, but techno yogi.
Nice.
And awesome. Spirit craft. So things that are made of and for the spirit.
Awesome.
Craft works made of and for the spirit.
Love it.
So I made this one, which is a poster that I used to study the signs. And cool. So this poster is here to help me kind of study and get into my consciousness the different flavors that are part of Capricorn. So you see them over here. And we spoke about it's an earth element, and it's ruled by Saturn. There are some other things here. It says Tamas, Arta, Cardinal. Maybe in another video we can get into what those things are, but they have to do with the different kind of flavors that go into the flavor of Capricorn. What I want to point you out to here is that on the other side of the poster is Cancer. And Cancer is on the opposite side of the sky from Capricorn. And this is important to us because Cancer is where if you have a new moon in Capricorn, 180 degrees across the sky, you're probably going to have your full moon in Cancer. And so these things are like complementary opposites of each other across the sky. And when you have a new moon here, you have a full moon there. And it's like the lessons of Capricorn that start in the new moon are kind of brought to their peak in the full moon, where they meet their complementary opposite in Cancer, and they're challenged in certain ways. And then we can integrate that challenge and come out of the lunation cycle of the 30 days or so, that new moon to new moon lunation cycle, having metabolized Capricorn by also integrating its complementary opposite in Cancer.
So can you basically go new moon, full moon, kind of like that on this thing? Oh, cool. Oh,
you can.
Nice. Awesome.
So we had our new moon here in Capricorn. We'll have our full moon here in Cancer.
Okay.
Caveat, because I'll tell you about this in a moment. But generally, new moon, full moon, and then new moon, full moon, new moon, full moon. Like
awesome. That. Okay, cool.
So we just had our new moon in Capricorn. That means next new moon will be in Aquarius.
Okay.
Now, a little bit of background. Jyotish is what we call Eastern Astrology, or what people often call Eastern Astrology. Also, it's called sidereal astrology. And that means that the sidereal means that the 12 zodiac signs are divided based on the location of fixed stars in the heavens. Western astrology, or what's called tropical astrology, reckons the start and end point of the different zodiac signs using the equinox and the solstice, which changes a little bit every year. And so that's why if you look at Western astrology, I think that the new moon was considered in Aquarius this past time. So if you're confused watching this video, you're not crazy. There's a reason for that. Eastern astrologers, Jyotish, Vedic astrologers will tell you that Eastern is the way to do it. You can make your own decisions, do some research, and maybe we can talk about that more in the future.
Leave a comment.
But if you're confused, you might have seen that the new moon was in Aquarius, but in the sidereal Eastern Vedic Jyotish reckoning, it was in Cancer, or excuse me, in Capricorn.
Capricorn.
Now, I did say that because we had our new moon in Capricorn, that means that our full moon will be in Cancer. And that's a great rule of thumb to have generally. But this month and last month, I'm not sure if it's going to be all the months this year. I have to do the research. But because the new moon was later in Capricorn, there's 30 degrees to each sign. And because it was later in Capricorn, that means that by the time the moon gets around to being 180 degrees from where it was at the new moon, that means that it's actually going to be in Leo. Because it was later in Capricorn at the new moon, it's going to be in Leo. Further than Cancer, it's going to actually be in Leo. So next week, our full moon will be in sidereal or Eastern or Vedic Leo.
Okay.
And actually, I think it's going to be in Leo for Western too.
Oh, wow. A little bit of an overlap.
To be even more confusing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Awesome.
So that's the basic lunation cycle, and that's the complementary opposite pair that each sign has. Capricorn and Cancer, Aquarius and Leo, Pisces and Virgo. And as you get to know the different flavors of these signs, their complementary opposites start to make even more sense to you and why they fit together. It's one of the most interesting parts of the zodiac to me, and that's why I made this this poster, which isn't a mandala, isn't a circle, but is just the polar pairs lined up with each other, so you can see them at a glance and study their qualities with each other. So if you're a nerd like me and you like to study esoteric things, check out technoyogi.com, and we have posters like this, and we're always dreaming up more. So if you have any suggestions, I am totally down to make some custom posters for people. If you have ideas, it'll be helpful to me too, because I want to use them to study and to become even more fluent in all these wonderful bits of symbology and meaning.
Awesome.
Yeah.
So could you, for us, just in like the most layman terms, could you like boil it down to just like, last week was like, this is kind of like just like the bear kind of theme of it. And then next week is like, this is kind of like the theme of next week, and just like the simplest of terms. Cause like sometimes like, it goes over my head, and I just admit that,
Totally.
that, you know? And so like...
and sometimes I realize that I've been talking for 15 minutes, and I'm like, did I establish definitions for my terms? Is Stephen glazing over? Is he here? And he's totally here, but he's like, layman's terms.
Yeah, I was like, help, help. and you know, it's like, I think a lot of our viewers too feel probably in the same boat that I'm in. It's like, you know, it's like, because this guy's got so much information, you know, it's like, sometimes we have to just like, dumb it down a little bit for us regular peoples.
And that's so helpful for me too, because even though I've been kind of on and off studying this stuff for a few years now, it's so important to be able to bring it down to, you know, basic terms.
Yeah.
I think Einstein said, or someone did, if you can't explain it to a middle schooler or to a grade school child, then you don't know it correctly, or you don't know it more thoroughly enough. And clearly, I don't know that quote well enough to
if I can get it, then we're in good shape, you know.
So what I'll do actually to do this is read out of this book, which boils things down really, really nicely. And I wanted to kind of use this book today to, I don't know, rep it a little bit and to recommend it to you, because it's my first reference and my first go-to whenever I'm looking up a new topic. Okay, so the book is called Vedic Astrology Simply Put. Perfect, right?
Cool, nice.
And I always love red hardcover books for some reason. I think it's quite handsome. Yes. And I took the cover off because it just feels more regal.
Yeah, more real. Like it's been in the library for a long time. Yeah.
So it's called Vedic Astrology Simply Put, and it's by William R. Levesey. or Levacy. I'm not sure how he pronounces it. What's really cool is this also comes with a CD-ROM.
Ooh, remember those?
A Jyotish software.
Oh.
So I don't know if copies of it today still hold that in the back of the book, if they still have the CD.
Yeah.
But it's called Parashara's Light.
Oh. Yeah.
If you want to get into this stuff, that's a great software that's completely thorough, and it's what some professionals use too. And if you're interested, this is a Hay House book, Hay House Publishing. So it's a big publishing house that a lot of people go through for esoteric knowledge.
Yes, very cool.
So for the simply put theme of our new moon that just occurred last week, we're going to look at Capricorn.
All right.
So Capricorn, the Vedic name in Sanskrit is Makara.
Makara.
And the symbol for it is a crocodile or a sea monster. It's also the sea goat. Ooh. So it's a goat in the front with like a mermaid tail in the back.
Okay.
Yeah. So this is symbolic of the heights. The goat can go to the top of the mountain, and the fish, or the mermaid, can go to the bottom of the sea.
I was going to say it has its 2 feet in 2 worlds.
Right.
You know, yeah.
So that tells us something about Capricorn already. It's all about... That tells us something about Capricorn already. It's all about the balance of extremes, and it's about steadfastness. So Capricorn is maybe the most steadfast sign. Also, we find steadfastness in Taurus and other places. There's some of that in Virgo and other places. But Capricorn is the place where we reconcile the depths and the heights, and we find the strength to persevere through all of it. So that's something about the symbology of the sea goat. It brings us to the top and to the bottom, and we can find that we can traverse all of it in Capricorn.
Wow.
It's a very strong sign.
Wow, yeah.
Again, it's Earth, right?
Yeah.
And Saturn is sort of an austere planet. So we were talking earlier that it has Saturn flavor to it. So it has that austerity to it.
Okay.
It also has a lot to do with sort of our impact in the world, but maybe we'll talk about that later. So the crocodile or the sea monster or the sea goat is the symbol for Capricorn, where we just had our new moon. So the key concept for Capricorn that we can take away from William R. Levacy is prospering through enduring. Focus on security. Okay? Favorable traits of Capricorn: practical, methodical, persevering, organizing ability, serves others well, prefers seclusion and peace, and it's also very loyal. Some unfavorable traits that we get in Capricorn, some things to look out for, and things to integrate and balance whenever we're working with Capricorn themes. Capricorn can be suspicious, cruel, selfish, pessimistic, slow to act, depressed by obstacles and delays, overworks and strains, gloomy, too detached, and lack of affection. So you can kind of see how that's sort of a flip of that very determined and enduring quality of Capricorn. When it's not in balance, it can kind of go in the other direction.
Wow, that's really interesting.
So when you have a lunation cycle that starts with a new moon, that new moon sets the theme for the month.
Okay.
And like we were saying before, the complementary opposite is the full moon. And we can take a look at Leo, which is where our full moon is going to be.
Yes, let's do that.
Okay, so key concept for Leo, or a few key concepts. I think a lot of people know that the symbol for Leo is a lion. Yeah. Right? And it's ruled by the sun. Okay. So sun has a lot of vitality. It's the vitality of life, right? It gives life to everything. Right. So Leo has that very kind of regal and vibrant, life-full quality. Yeah. Okay, so ruling planet is the sun. It's a fire sign. And the key concept for Leo from Vedic astrology, simply put, is being the center of the universe. Focus is on commanding and directing. Favorable traits: vital, a leader, generous, dignified, skilled organizer, and ambitious. Unfavorable: vain, arrogant, overbearing, opinionated, and boasting. So you can see how, like the other, Leo's a double-edged coin, double-edged sword.
Double-edged sword, yeah.
And we need to integrate Leo. We need to integrate Capricorn in order to find that balanced expression of it. Mm-hmm. And then we can be vital. We can be a leader. We can be generous without being arrogant or overbearing like that. Mm. So full moon coming up, we're going to see a balancing of the new moon in Capricorn with a full moon in Leo. We're going to see a theme of the month, which is Capricornian, finding integration and balance by approaching this other energy which is different from it. Mm-hmm. And how does Capricorn find its way when it is kind of flooded with Leo energy? Mm. That's what a new moon is, or excuse me, a full moon is. It's really a flooding of energy. It's all of the light of the moon is pouring down on us, and it's reflecting all that solar light and giving a different quality to it in the full moon. So things to think about for Capricorn and for Leo.
Awesome. So I have a really hard time with the word nakshatra. Did I say it right?
You got it. Yeah.
I said it right for the first time.
If you want to say it a little different, you can roll the R, because that's what you're supposed to do in Sanskrit. Okay. Nakshatra.
Nakshatra.
Yeah, you got it.
Nakshatra. I usually stumble over this word so much. I every time he says it, I'm like, oh god, I have to say it next. So I can't believe I said it right. Cool. Yeah. Yay.
It's awesome. So yeah, we were talking about the nakshatras, and you said it perfectly. And so because we have this other division of things, this lunar division of things, I just want to give you a taste of what Vedic astrology, simply put, has to say about the nakshatra where our new moon was, not just the sign. So we have it in Capricorn, but then what nakshatra is it in within Capricorn? That gives us even more granular detail.
Yeah, so this is gonna like refine the details.
So our new moon is in Capricorn, but we also talked about the nakshatras, which are even more divisions, right? So there are several nakshatras, 2.5, within each of the zodiac signs, which we also call rashis in the Vedic way.
Awesome.
So let's take a look at the nakshatra where our new moon was. Okay. Again, from Vedic astrology, simply put.
Awesome. My
number one ally. Okay, so this is the 22nd nakshatra, and it is called Shravana. Shravana goes from 10 degrees Capricorn to 23 degrees and 20 minutes Capricorn. So it's the second one in Capricorn, and it's in the middle. Okay. So the translation for Capricorn, for Shravana, is the listener. So it has a lot to do with listening. So here's another theme we can pile on top with this new moon. So we have the Capricornian themes, and now we're also thinking about listening, the ear. Let's see what else he says. The deity, which each nakshatra has a deity, or really you can think of these as like qualities of natural law, the laws of nature in a certain flavor almost. Vishnu is the ruler of this nakshatra. So people are probably familiar with the name Vishnu if they know anything about Hinduism or the Vedic tradition. Vishnu is one of the...
he's the sustainer?
He's the sustainer, exactly. One of the Trimurtis. Brahma, Vishnu, and Shiva. So Vishnu is the energy, the intelligence that sustains, maintains the entire universe and its functioning. So it's a major deity to have with a nakshatra. It's not always a major deity like that.
Oh, okay.
So it's pretty interesting. Stephen has Shravana in his chart, actually.
Hey.
And you are a great listener. So this nakshatra is ruled by the moon. Okay, so there's another thing you can add in. Capricorn's ruled by Saturn, but Shravana is ruled by the moon. So these flavors are mixing together, right?
Now you can kind of see how it's like making a soup.
It's like making a soup.
Yeah, it's like all these different flavors, and they're all kind of coming together. So he was talking about, Capricorn and what was the other one? Capricorn and Cancer? Leo.
Cancer is the polar opposite of Capricorn.
Yeah.
But our full moon is actually going to be in Leo.
Leo, okay. Yeah. So we were talking about Capricorn and Leo. So we have these two elements, and then we have the moon getting thrown in there. It's really interesting. You can see how this is really like a big recipe, and like there's not just one little thing, So like for a novice like me, it's like really kind of fascinating to like see how much goes into these readings. So I'm sorry to interrupt, but
not at all. Say that. Even if it seems like a lot of information and it's not completely all landing, it's okay to be really easy with that and to let it kind of just sit in awareness, maybe when you're meditating or laying down, and to just kind of, for yourself, contemplate, okay, what is the moon? What is that energy in my life? How do I relate with the moon? How do I relate with Saturn? Do I have any relation with that? These are just things that you can kind of let them reflect off of you and just see what comes when you're contemplating them.
Awesome.
So that's a nice, really basic technique that I'll use sometimes, where I'll just kind of say the word inside and then just see what comes up in consciousness around it.
Yeah, check that out. Try it out,
It's
guys.
a nice self-referral mechanism. The key concept for Shravana: effective listener gets support and success from building rapport and interacting effectively with others. So kind of in the theme of Capricorn, right? There is this interaction with others. There's success from building something, building rapport, and listening to circumstances, listening to other people, so that you can move through things and not get kind of bogged down. Shravana also has a lot to do with mantras or sounds that you can use for meditation, because it has to do with listening. And mantras have certain qualities to them that bring certain things into awareness, into consciousness. So if you have a mantra practice, or if you're interested in studying mantras, this is a cool month to do it. Because it's in the stars, that it's part of the theme of the month.
Wow.
Mantra practice, listening, and also going deeply inside to listen to what some traditions have called the still small voice that's inside. The small voice that's in there that you can hear, your intuition, when you're really paying attention, and you quiet yourself down through meditation or something like that.
Fascinating.
Yeah. So
Cool.
Shravana, listening, building rapport with others, and going in deeply to work with mantras, with sounds within consciousness.
Beautiful. Nice. Love that.
Very quickly, I'll also give you the nakshatra for the upcoming full moon.
Yes.
This is one of my favorites. I have many friends who have placements in this nakshatra. In Leo, it's the first one in Leo. And it's called Magha. 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 And it translates to the mighty one. So Leo, right? That fits with Leo. Magha, the first nakshatra within Leo, is the mighty one.
Nice.
The symbol for it is it's that thing that they carry royalty around in. It's a box they carry people around in. A palanquin.
Palanquin.
Or a royal canopy is the symbol.
Okay.
And it's ruled by Ketu, which is a planet that maybe we can do a talk on it at another time. It's really interesting.
Yeah.
But it's one of the lunar nodes. It's the southern lunar node, if you want to look it up.
Yeah.
And the key concept for Magha is being royal, leading, motivating, and inspiring. It also has a lot to do with the ancestors. So does Ketu, and that's why Ketu rules it, I think. Magha has to do with our lineage and our ancestors. And that's also makes sense for Leo, because Leo is sort of royalty, right? And royalty is based on a bloodline. So Magha is that part of us, part of all of us, that is of a royal lineage. It's the lineage of the whole universe.
Wow.
The lineage of life that started in the pools of, volcanic pools wherever when.
Yeah, the primordial, soup.
Right, we're part of a royal lineage of life in the universe. And Magha reminds us of that.
Ooh, nice.
So we have listening, going deeply inside with Shravana, and also in Capricorn, getting to that part of us that can persevere through things, that is kind of tough. And we're going to be kind of complementing that and balancing that out with the part of us that's very regal, very royal, full of sunlight, and connected with ancestors. So those are the themes of the month.
Awesome.
This lunation cycle, we have Shravana and Magha, which is located in Capricorn and Leo.
Awesome. Wow, guys, that was so cool. Thank you, Brian,
You're welcome.
so much. I think, I don't know about you guys, but like, that's just like so much information. I gotta kind of watch it again. Like, just please, like join me. And I just heard it, but I'm gonna have to go back and watch it. And like, wow, and like kind of unpack it, because it's really cool. And like I said, we're gonna be doing this again. and we're gonna have like a theme and like kind of looking back and then looking forward, and just kind of like seeing how this is unfolding in our own lives. I think it's like really cool.
Yeah, we can talk about maybe if we've seen any of this stuff in our own lives when we speak next. And, and hopefully we can, deliver this to you in a format that can land in some way and can be, not just interesting to listen to, but also useful. And remember that image of the different mirrors. You can kind of, even if you're not into the whole planets controlling karma thing, you can think of it as, okay, each of us has all these different archetypes within us. Each of us has a part of us that is Venus, that is the sun, that is Saturn, that is Shravana, that is Magha. And if we can get to know these different flavors, we can start to see where they're arriving in our lives. And if we've kind of come to terms with them and metabolized them and come to see, okay, how do I do with this kind of energy? How do I deal with it when it's in me or when it's coming to me from another person? Then we can start to build a fluency with all these different energies that we interact with in life. And that fluency allows us to enjoy our life even more and get even more meaning and juice out of the squeeze of life, at least in my practice.
Beautiful. What he just said. Oh my God. Like, I don't even want to add to that. So thank you, Brian, so much.
Thank you, Stephen,
for coming onto the channel and just sharing your information with us. And we'll be doing this a lot more. So yeah, look forward to it. And thank you guys for joining. Subscribe to the channel, like this video, share it with your friends, and we'll be bringing back a whole lot more. So thank you guys so much. All right. See ya.
See ya.
Bye.
Bye. Thanks. Crazy stuff.
That's what we like. We like the crazy eyebrows. Because they're like, ooh, something's gonna happen. Oh, the eyebrows are dancing.
Something like, hey man. Yeah.